UNC Radio. Thank you for calling in. Who's calling? Is this Ken?
Yes, it is. How are you?
Hey, good morning. This is Ken Bloom. He is a theater writer and author and expert, and he is calling in for a very specific reason, and I thank him so much for doing this. First of all, let me thank so much my darling wife, Joyce, for joining me for the first hour of Dave's Gone By, to be continued with more Gridley Crimes and Old Times, but I wanted to do this segment with Ken Bloom here on Dave's Gone By on this Saturday, January 31st. January 30th, 2016, on the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air on UNC Radiocom, the radio station of the University of Northern Colorado. So the reason Ken is calling us is because that this week the critical theater world, the behind-the-scenes theater world, lost a really cool friend and a really, really nice guy. I can't say he was a close friend, but he was a very, very happy acquaintance of mine named Ezio Petersen. Ken, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So, and I knew him from, I was, obviously been a theater critic for many, many years, and I worked at Playbill.com for a bunch of years. And also, I was a guest at least once, probably a couple of times, on this radio program that he founded and hosted called the American Musical Theater Today, that was on the radio station of Columbia University, WKCR, for about 15 years. And for a bunch of years, he co-hosted it with Michael Riegel, back when Michael was just this Columbia University writing and journalism or theater student before he became a New York Post writer, and he has the book out now. And then for the remaining years, Ezio co-hosted it with the person who's on the phone with me right now, Ken Bloom. So first of all, Ken, how are you doing? How's it going?
I'm okay. I'm actually in Ezio's apartment right now.
You're in Ezio's apartment. Oh my gosh! So you remain close friends even after all these years that the show hasn't been on the air.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was with Ezio for about 10 years on the radio show, and Michael was our intern, and he was astounding because he knew nothing when he came to us, and when he left, he soaked up everything, which was pretty fantastic.
Well, that's Michael's way, yeah.
In 1982. Ezio got a bunch of people together, like-minded people about musical theater, at a restaurant called Sam's in New York, which was a theater restaurant. Mm-hmm. And we met every week, once a week, 1982, and we are still meeting once a week.
Oh, that's wonderful. Gosh, you never included me in that. I'll have to send you a nasty note about that. But
send Ezio a note. Yeah.
When did you first meet him?
In 1982, he called me to be part of this group because I had published a book called American Song, which was about Broadway songs, and there were a lot of other authors and actors and just aficionados that were in the group. There were about 12 people in the group.
But how did you connect? Oh, sorry, yeah.
7 or 8 now.
But how did you connect with him in terms of doing a radio show together?
Well, when I joined the group, he had this radio show, and I had done my own show on WAMU, which is American University in Washington, D.C., and I was then a reporter up in New York for NPR for All Things Considered and Morning Edition.
Yeah.
So since I had done radio, and Effie and I really clicked, we co-hosted the show together, which was great. And then either of us could take a vacation and not worrying about the show going on.
Well, can I ask what, since people probably don't even know it, we're going back like 20 years since the show was on the air. Right. Explain how the American Musical Theater Today was special. What was different about it from other theater kind of radio shows or Sirius XM?
We didn't play a lot of commercial recordings. We played a lot of composer demos. We interviewed a lot of actors, a lot of composers. And, for example, on Irving Berlin's 100th birthday, Ezio contacted Stephen Sondheim and Jerry Bach and John Kander and all these people, and they each wrote a little tribute song to Irving Berlin that they performed.
Wow.
So we would do a lot of special things, and during the show we would tell our listeners, get your tape recorders handy, because this is going to be something you'll never hear before.
You'll never hear again.
So,
yeah. Mm.
Right. So we were different, in that sense. We played mainly rare stuff, and we advance played a lot of Broadway cast albums before they came out.
I mean, Ezio was very, very well. How did he get so connected? Was he friendly with the press agents, or was it his job as a photojournalist that got him into things?
Yeah, I guess he was a photojournalist for UPI, and he covered the Tony Awards, all the openings, all the theatrical events. That was his beat, so to speak. But before that, he took an extremely famous photo that your listeners may remember if they're old enough. In Little Italy, a crime boss was shot in the garden of a restaurant. And Ezio went up to the roof of an adjoining building and had a policeman put the man's cigar in his mouth when he was lying dead on the ground. And he took that photo, and it was a big award-winning photo, and it was carried in all the newspapers all over the world. So he was a great photographer.
Well, wait a minute. That's
no
actually...
matter what the subject was.
But wait a minute. That's both monkeying with a crime scene and reality. That's terrible that he did that.
I know. As terrible as the policeman did it, too.
I'm hoping that's
but
not
anyway.
Was that the photo that got him the Pulitzer nomination?
Yeah, that was it.
Whoa! Did the Pulitzer Committee know that he doctored reality
No.
to do it? No. Oh, wow.
No, of course not. It wasn't that doctored to just put the cigar in the guy's mouth. That's it.
Oh, that's hilarious! Wow.
Yeah.
If you Google Ezio's name, and by the way, it's Ezio Petersen, Ezio Petersen.
Right.
You can easily find one page of all his photographs, all his major news photographs, and they're pretty amazing. He's got Bernard Goetz. He's got a lot of famous shots of people, and some news-oriented things, too. And there's some pretty amazing photographs, and a lot of black and white, I guess, because back in the day, that's what they all were for the newspapers.
Yeah, that's right.
So the thing is, sorry, yeah.
I was going to say, Ezio was really a mensch, if you know what that means.
Yeah,
he was just a really great guy. And everybody liked him. He was polite. He wasn't one of those pushy photographers like the paparazzi or the people who cover the Oscars. And so everybody wanted to cooperate with Ezio, and that's how he had great access.
Yeah,
he was a nice guy, and people knew he cared.
You don't have to be a jerk to get the shot. He proved that. Yeah, so like,
right,
you'll
exactly
get the,
right.
He's got the You all have cameras. You'll all get your shot. You don't have to be, like Princess Di killers to get the photograph that you need. Seriously, And that's the one thing I will agree with all the encomiums and the eulogies that have been already said about Ezio by you, by Mike Riegel, by some other. A lot of the press agents chimed in about Ezio. Since then, I think there's an article on Playbill about him.
Right.
What did I write? Who was it? It was, if I can read this, from Chris Bono, who is one of the heads of Bono Bryan Brown. He said, Ezio was a huge supporter of the theater, always friendly and happy. Ezio not only took great photos and did the best interviews, but he was genuinely proud of his work. Even when he was standing in the cold or the rain or the heat to cover an opening night, he still had that huge smile on his face. He did, folks. He really did. And he made it all feel like a party. I'd like to think he's somewhere breezy and cool, aiming his camera at someone famous. Ezio was one of a kind, and sadly the world has lost a truly lovely, kind, gentle, capital letters, gentle man. And from the times that I met him, probably half a dozen to a dozen times in my life, I completely and 100% agree. He was a great fella. And I know he's
a really good friend.
I'm sorry I never got to play darts with him. He was really into that. He had this Monday night dart club that he dug. What are your other memories of doing the radio show with him, or hanging with him otherwise, and that group, the dinner group that you got, that I'm not invited to?
Well, we would all trade tapes or talk about the latest shows and everything, and Ezio was sort of the center of it all because he had the contact. So he was really the head of the group. And we just had a great time. There were never arguments. If you didn't like a show or someone else did like the show, there was no arguments about anything. It was just a really great time for people who like theater to get together. And if people came to the group and were obnoxious, they were not invited back to the group.
Oh, sure.
So it was a really good time. And like you say, he always had a very positive attitude, was always in a good mood. He could get angry at things, but he never got apoplectic,
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, that's why we all loved him.
Yeah, so I remember one time I seeing him, and he was not he was in a decent mood, but things had not been going that well for him, and this is a few years ago. And even then, he wasn't angry. He was just kind of like, things could be better, and I broke up with someone, et cetera, and so forth. But he was still, really cool about everything. How old was he?
I don't know. I think he was, my guess would be he was almost 70, because I think he was a little older than I am.
Oh, okay. Okay, it's hard to tell. He had gray hair by the time I saw him last, but that could have meant he was in his 50s. I guess he was older than that.
Right.
What did he die of?
He had congestive heart failure for about 5 years, and that's what finally he died of.
Okay. Who found him?
Well, he has a girlfriend, Laura.
Ah, okay.
And they were living together, and she was helping to take care of him, and, we would go to the hospital, take him to the hospital, or she was with him all the time.
That's
what happened.
Well, I mean, when you have congestive heart failure, what would they do at the hospital? Just check him? I mean, what? I don't.
He would have dialysis.
Really?
They would, sort of rejigger his drugs depending on, the chemistry in his body. So he was in and out of the hospital. And he was pretty stable, actually. And we had talked the week before, and everything seemed to be fine. But, you never know. Now,
did he ever tell you how he got into photography or how he came to love the theater?
No, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know.
All these questions, we wish we could ask him, now.
I know.
Well, here's the other, perhaps the most important thing. Well, I mean, aside from his passing, you're in his apartment. He has a girlfriend. Does he have archives of, I assume, hundreds of tapes of the radio show, as well as all those soundboard recordings he had of all those shows in the 1980s?
Right. We never had recordings of the radio shows because we did them live.
Right.
But he and I have all the cassettes of all the material that went into the radio shows. So all the interviews are on cassette, and you can imagine there's hundreds of them.
Okay.
Yeah. And so our group that Ezio founded are going to take them, and we're going to convert them to digital and make an Excel spreadsheet about just exactly what they have, because each one of them is unique.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is valuable archival stuff. I'm sure half of the people that were interviewed are no longer with us at this point, even. And what about, again, the tapes that he made of musicals before they came, or while they were running, or on opening night, or when he would go see them, and he would get tapes from the soundboard of these shows that otherwise don't exist anymore? They're in the ether. Right. Are those there somewhere?
Yeah, we think so. We just started going through this morning. We're finding a lot of things out that we didn't know we had, or just memories of stuff, shows that Ezio and I did together.
Oh, okay, good. I know the only thing that I have, and this is somewhere deep in my plate, where I was living on Long Island with my folks. I did record that, you guys, I think it was still with him and Michael, but a show where he went through all the 1980s, like musical by musical, and played one or two songs from whether they were hits or whether they were flops, and just all this incredibly rare stuff. And I know I recorded that on cassette 30 years ago.
Right.
And I have it somewhere. So at least, I've got some episode of the American Musical Theater today. Just kills me that
that's great.
You didn't have the foresight back then to just have something taping it somewhere. I know the show was on live, but that's just a big loss, I think.
Yeah, and I think there are tapes of people who, like I said, who tape the show regularly because of the rarity of the materials.
Maybe put out a call
and
for it.
in fact, we did one show we found a live recording of a show called At Home Abroad that had Ethel Waters and other big stars. And we played it on the air, and the next thing we knew, someone put it out on an LP.
Whoa. Well, yeah, I mean, the influence, you never know.
That's right.
And it's just, I mean, it's sad that he's gone, but I'm glad at least that there's a certain amount of what he did and what you guys did that will live on. You'll do that spreadsheet. You'll archive things. You'll note things. You'll digitize stuff. Being careful with it because God knows after 25 years, cassettes can be a little iffy. Hopefully they're in decent shape. Well, did he? I kept asking him about it, of him either reviving the radio show or making sure that he was transferring the stuff digitally. Didn't he get started on that while he was alive?
We did for a little bit, and then we just couldn't keep up with it. But we have, I don't know, how many hundreds of digital recordings now of different shows and tapes, and also we're still, the group is still putting them together.
Oh, good. But you've already got hundreds, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I was at the Cole Porter Estate up at Yale, and we have a lot of recordings they don't have. So, for example, I'm making copies of some Porter material that they don't have at Yale. So, but we get calls from a lot of different places, estates, and from the composers themselves, who are looking for things. So our goal is to put this all online eventually and make it available to people.
Get a grant and just try and do it, or get some one of the big theater websites to sponsor you. Sure wish I could.
I know, that'd be great.
You have my emotional support, if not my financial support.
That's good.
So it's only fair.
We'll keep in touch, and we'll let you know how things proceed.
Now, before I let you go, it's only fair to ask you what you're up to these days. Are you writing another book? What's your most recent book? Are you on the media anywhere? What are you, Ken Bloom, up to?
I have a new book coming out in October from Oxford of Broadway anecdotes.
Ooh!
So that's the latest book. And I'm working on a giant database of songs. It'll be the first song database, sort of like IMDb. And it's called InsideSongs.com. It'll have over 1 million songs we have in the database. So people can look up songs, or they can look up the show, a show like Oklahoma, find out all the songs that were in it, or, look up a song and see what show it was in. So it'll be like IMDb, but for songs. Now,
let me ask you something, because that's a huge project. How many people do you have helping you? Who's sponsoring this? Do you have a publisher? How do you get that off the ground?
It's just me. I have all the material because I did these books of every song written for Broadway, every song written for Hollywood, and a big Tin Pan Alley book. So that was the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And I have a partner in Boston who's the computer guy. And we just have a staff of 3 people, and we've been raising investor money.
Oh, okay. So that helps too. Yeah. So you have enough money to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have enough money to get going. And I have a record label, Harbinger Records. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. Harbinger Records.
Yeah, we've been around 32 years.
Oh, sorry for not knowing that. But what are some of your recent releases?
We just re-released a Maxine Sullivan Cotton Club Songs album. We did a John Kander album, which is a survey of his career. It's 2 CDs and an 80-page booklet.
Whoa!
We did a similar one last year on Sheldon Harnick, and before that we did Richard Rodgers and Hugh Martin. And we put out a CD of Cy Coleman songs, of him singing his own songs, that linked up with Andy Probst's biography of Cy Coleman.
Oh, man.
So if people go to harbingerrecords.com, they can see our stuff. It's all jazz and musical theater stuff.
And I think it's cool that you're putting out CDs with booklets, as opposed to everybody, doing just MP3, Amazon. I mean, is that available that way too, or is it only on CD hard copy?
No. It's on Amazon, and we're just going to start on-demand pressings for people.
Cool. Well, congrats on that.
But everything,
HarbingerRecords.com, right? Was the or just
Right.
HarbingerRecords.com. And do you have a website of your own that people can go to find out about?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
No. I'm not even on Facebook. It's terrible.
Whoa. Wow.
I
Okay.
know.
You're
I'm so retro.
Dark Age. Well, you're putting out CDs and doing giant books about the theater. I guess it doesn't get more retro or wonderful than that. And I thank you for
Thanks.
seriously. I thank you for doing that, because somebody should and has to. And you're one of the big experts up there in this field. So it's huge that you're doing as much as you can while you can. Because
Yeah, because like Ezio, we all love this stuff, and that's what we want to do, and keep it preserved for future generations.
If you could ask Ezio Petersen one question today, what would it be?
I don't know. I would ask him, how am I going to get all these cassettes and VHS tapes and CDs back to my apartment? That's what I would ask him. Because you have no idea. There's got to be over 1,000 cassettes.
Thank God. I mean, wouldn't it be
know.
horrible if there were only 10? Thank God he's got all that stuff, and he pack-ratted, and he archived and stuff.
Yep.
I mean, that's...
It's all here.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to please do keep us posted. Please do let us know when these things
Okay.
are online and available, and when you've got new CD releases out on HarbingerRecords.com, and when you have a new book to talk about, and your database is up. Let us know. We really want to keep in touch with you, because we thank you very, very much for your time and your memories.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Yeah. So
Very nice of you to do this little tribute to Ezio, because he really deserves it.
he was a wonderful guy. He really was.
Yeah.
And you seem like a pretty good guy, too, even though you're going to invite me to your soirees. But it's okay.
That's right. Hey, blame Ezio, not me.
I know. Yeah, he could have when I was back in New York. He could have intimated. Oh, well.
Yeah. God.
Oh, well. When I see him in heaven, the 1 minute I'm
That's
there
right.
before I plummet down to hell, I'll have to ask him that. So
Exactly.
have a great weekend. Thank you. Oh, by the way, when is his funeral?
We don't know. I think we're going to have a memorial service, and I'll let you know when it is.
That'd be cool. I mean, I'm in Colorado. I'm not even in New York, but it'd be nice
Yeah,
to
but,
nice to know.
you can announce it to people who may, know people who want to come. I'm working with Adrian Brian Brown, who's Chris Bono's partner, in the press office, and we're starting to put it together.
Yeah, and see if Charlotte St. Martin can't dim the lights for a day, for a minute. It's a little much to ask, but
Yeah,
you
that'd
never
be
know.
nice.
That'd be cool. All right, have a great one, man. Thank you again. Ken Bloom.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Bye-bye now. Ken Bloom in the Daverhood here on the Dave's Gone By radio program of the year. We thank him so much, and we miss quite a bit. We keep stressing it over and over, but he really was just a kind and smiling and gentle guy, no matter the situation. Whenever I saw him, Ezio Petersen, and I was very, very proud to be on that radio show, American Musical Theater Today. I hope they find the archives. I'd love to hear the stupid things I said back when I was a callow youth on the radio. I know when I was digging for info on Ezio, one of the first things that came up was an article I did when their show was knocked off Columbia's radio station, because KCR was going through kind of a purge of show, because like us, they're student radio, or should be. So they had very, very rare exceptions as to when they would allow a non-Columbia student to have a radio program on KCR, on Columbia Station. They did it for another friend of the neighborhood, the opera fanatic Stefan Zucker, that we had, where he had a long-running opera show that was one of the wildest things you ever heard on the radio. And he did it for years, but he didn't get along well with the interns that he had to have, and eventually they canned him. And then a year later, they canned Ezio's show and Michael and Ken's show, because they weren't related to Columbia University. So they kicked the show off, which is just really, really stupid and awful and short-sighted of them. Gee, who would ever think of radio station management as being incompetent, stupid, and short-sighted? I've never come across that in my radio career. Ahem. Anywho, this is Dave. I'm in a wonderful radio station now, and I do not say that lightly or falsely. I love UNCRadio.com. It is the radio station of the University of Northern Colorado. It is completely student-run, top to bottom. I qualify because I'm a student alumnus, and I was a faculty in the fall, too. So, and I'm married to faculty, so I belong here. I really do. But everyone else here is 30 years younger than I am, and that's fantastic, and it should be supported. And if you want to support UNCRadio.com by having your product, event, or service advertised, you want to contact Samantha Roberts, samantha.roberts@unco.edu. It's incredibly cost-effective and cheap to advertise on this radio station. And if you do, every single broadcaster here will do your ad during their show. Be it me, be it all the students who are on here from like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on, 7 days a week, doing programs about every possible subject and kind of music. Or if there isn't a live person here doing a show, we have our tune tracker. We've got the thing that plays music that we pre-program, so it'll play when nobody live is on the air. Well, we'll program your advertisement to play once an hour, or depending on how much you pay, twice an hour also. So it repeats over and over again. That's how advertising works. People have to, it's like an earbud. It's got to get in there, an earwig, droning in over and over again. So it becomes part of you. Just like every week, I tell you about Blackjack Pizza. Num, num, num. It's amazing student deals here for the local Blackjack outlet, which is right off, 16th or 17th Street and by 8th Avenue. They have a student deal, a medium 1-topping pizza for $6, a 5-topping large pizza for only $12. So, to order, call Blackjack Pizza at 970-356-2500, 970-356-2500. Hey, we got the Super Bowl coming up next week. Wouldn't it be amazing to have a pizza party with all these different delicious, yummy toppings from Blackjack Pizza? 970-356-2500. Now, Maybe some people in your Super Bowl party love pizza, they want cheese, maybe they're vegetarian, that's great. But some people want something a little heavier, a little meatier. Maybe some folks want some fried chicken, boneless or boned. You're going to want to call the Wing Shack. So you got pizza on one side. How about a big bucket of wings from grain-fed, non-GMO treated, free-range chickens? Because a happier chicken, they say, is a tastier chicken. Still don't even know what to make of that line, but the Wing Shack is open until midnight, 7 days a week. And there are 2 different locations right here in Greeley. There's one near campus over on 8th Avenue in Garden City, and then on 65th Avenue. So 2 great locations, same amazing delicious food and sauces for dipping and coating your boneless and boned wings. Yummy, yummy stuff. And we thank them tremendously for supporting UNCRadio.com. They have for a very long time, and it makes a huge difference. I mean, we get most of our money from the student council that we rally for every year, and they've been giving us more money every year that we put towards our van, that we put towards our equipment, that we put towards fixing things and getting computer stuff and getting T-shirts that we can give away to students, because it's all about the students here, and that we can cover events. Well, we thank the student council, but we would certainly love to have more sponsors and advertisers. And if you want to be one, samantha.roberts@unco.edu is the way to do it. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. You are listening to the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air. We're here every Saturday from 9 until noon Mountain Time, which is 11 until 2, by the way, New York or Eastern Time, because we have a lot of listeners on the East Coast. And I'm especially targeting you today because our guest in the neighborhood in just a little while will be Hampton Callaway, the marvelous songwriter, the wonderful singer. She was on Broadway. She was Tony nominated for Swing. Plus she's got all these MAC awards and she's got all these CDs out. She wrote a song for Barbra Streisand that Streisand sang at her own wedding to James Brolin. She wrote the theme song for The Nanny. This is Hampton Callaway. She will be with us in a little while talking to our beloved Rabbi Sol Solomon, and she's going to be tonight at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center with her sister, Liz Callaway. They've been doing this sibling revelry concertizing for a bunch of years now. Well, they're doing From West Side Story to Wicked. It's a marvelous show. You got to go see it. It's tonight at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark. I know we're probably getting snow here late tonight. Well, probably actually tomorrow is when the snow hits here. I'm not sure what the weather's like in New York, New Jersey. But either way, go. Go see it. You'll thank me. You'll also thank me for the other stuff that we're going to be doing on this episode of Dave's Gone By. We'll be doing a Saturday Segway birthday tribute to the delightful Lloyd Cole, who was our guest in the neighborhood about a year ago. We will have our Bob Dylan Sooner and Later segment about his album that he released a year ago this week called Shadows in the Night. We will have our wretched pun of destiny. Yeah, I know. I apologize for that in advance. And we... Did I get them all? I think I got them all. Well, except what we're going into right now, which is talking about theater, talking about shows, talking about and going inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater in New York, Colorado, and beyond, brought to you by TotalTheater.com and Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway.